Hey guys and gals, friends of YouTube, Love to Fly Helis here, and hey, today we actually got a helicopter. Imagine that. I know a lot of you guys tease me about my name, but when I started out on YouTube, all I was flying was helicopters. When I first started, I was flying a couple little planes, but I mostly was flying helicopters, and I love them. Don't get me wrong. We have 9 of them. I have 3 big nitros, and which one of them I'm fixing to switch over to gas, and then a bunch of little electrics. But anyway, I do love helicopters, so it just turns out that I do enjoy flying a lot of fixed wing aircraft as well. So, and they're a lot cheaper, and I have way more of those, so I do fly those more often, and the fuel's cheaper. These nitro helis eat you up, especially the 90 size. Cost me $7.50 a flight, almost $8 a flight for a 7-minute flight on my 90s. So it's crazy. But anyway, this one's a little electric. This is for my friend Alan over in Oklahoma. One of my YouTube buddies. Alan and I met a little over a year ago. I went to a fun fly over there and plan on going back again this year. But Alan has asked me to just kind of show him a little bit about a helicopter. He's kind of interested in maybe trying one someday. So this is a Helimax Axe 400. It's just a little cheap 450 size. It flies pretty good. I mean, it's not a T-Rex, 450 or 500 by any means, but it's fun just to fly around, and it's pretty cheap. So they don't make it anymore, so you can't get it. But we're going to kind of show him how they operate. Now, on the gas or nitro, of course, on the nitro you got a glow starter, and some of them, mine have onboard glow starters. You just flip a switch on your radio and it'll start humming, and while that's humming, it's hot, and you fire it up with a starter. On the electric ones, of course, they're different. Now, one thing you want to be sure, especially on an electric, because this can go full throttle on you. You want to turn your radio on first, let it initiate. Make sure all of your switches are in your forward position. Your idle up. Where is idle up? Yeah, this is it too. But anyway, your throttle hold, everything forward. Your throttle sticks all the way down. We will just stick this on here to keep it out of the way. Let's see. I can't remember if that'll reach up there or not. I think it will. Oh, good grief. Well, I'll tell you what, this Velcro's good stuff, but when it sticks, it sticks. We'll put that on there just to hold that in place for us. And this will come around here. Alright, your radio stick is down. You want to plug your power in. Stay back away from it. Wait till you hear all your initiating beeps, and then it's ready to go. At this point, I'm going to put on my throttle hold. That way, if I hit my throttle stick, my blades aren't going to start spinning up and take my chin off, or my fingers, or my camera, or something here. But everything else still works. Your cyclic and everything still works. So we can kind of show Alan how this works. Okay. Back here, Alan, is our receiver, and you can see I think you can see the green light is on. This is a Futaba receiver. This was a ready-to-fly helicopter. It came with a Futaba 6EX radio, which is a decent little radio for especially an intro. It only holds 6 models, but for somebody getting into the hobby, it's not a bad little radio. And I'm a JR Spectrum man myself, but Futabas are good radios, don't get me wrong. A lot of people use them. It comes with this, and it was all set up. Now, a guy needs to do some fine tuning, some tweaking on them, which I've got to do a little more tweaking on this to get them to fly really well. They're just come basic from the factory. But anyway, we'll set that out of the way. Of course, you got your motor in here, which if it was a nitro, you'd have an engine in there. And this is your main gear, and it has a one-way bearing. Like on the nitro ones, when you start it, that will turn one way, but it won't the other. And that way, it can't go backwards or anything. But anyway, that's your main gears. This one is a belt-driven tail. You probably can't see in there, but there's a little belt right in here that hooks to a pulley. There's a gear right here. It goes up, and there's a pulley, splined pulley, and the belt goes through the tail boom and back to a little splined gear on the tail end. Now, a lot of your bigger ones, even some of the smaller ones, are torque tube driven, which is basically a drive shaft, like in a car. It's a little aluminum shaft or carbon fiber. A lot of them, they'll have a gear on each end, and it ties into this instead of a belt. Those are actually better generally. The belt driven, you got to check your belt once in a while, make sure it stays tight. You get a loose belt, it can slip a little bit and cause your tail to twitch or whatever. The basic setup on a helicopter, there's 3 servos on your cyclic generally. Now, I think there's a few that may have 4, but your general setup is 3 of them. And this is programmed in your radio with all your program system to operate simultaneously, like these 3. As far as your collective pitch, all 3 of them, I think you can see that, all 3 of those are going up and down at the same time. So that's your collective pitch. It rotates your blades to make it go up and down. In your cyclic, you've got your elevator, which the one in the front will go up, the 2 in the back will go down, and that tips it backwards and makes it go reverse. Same thing with forward. You push forward on your elevator, and it pushes the front one down and the 2 in the back. And this is all programmed in a mixing in your radio that makes these do this. All your linkage has to be just right. Your servo arms have to be set 9 degree and all this. And man, I tell you what, I've got a loose screw right there. I'm gonna tighten it right quick. I just now noticed that. That's kind of weird. Glad I saw that. Anyway, that's how your cyclic works on your 3 servos. Same thing on right and left aileron. Your front one will not move, but the 2 on the sides, the one on the right side will go down, the one on the left will go up, just like an airplane, and it causes the helicopter to go right or left. And then same thing vice versa on the other side. Now, one thing different on a helicopter, an airplane, you are controlling an airplane. Basically, you have your throttle and you got your rudder, but you can put your throttle up, take an airplane off, and you can hold this radio with one hand and fly it all day long with one thumb. You got up and down, right and left, you can steer it. A helicopter, you cannot do that. A helicopter, when you turn like a right aileron, if you just give it right, the helicopter is just going to go sideways. You have to input right rudder and make the nose turn with it. So you have to learn to use both of these sticks at the same time. So on an airplane, you're basically using for basic flight, you're using 4 movements, right, left, up, and down. And for helicopter, you're using 8, because you're working your pitch up and down the whole time, and you're working your rudder the whole time with your ailerons and elevator. So you got twice the amount of input and twice the amount of thinking that you got to do to fly a helicopter. So they are harder to fly. Once you learn and get it down, it just, when you get some time under your belt, kind of becomes second nature. But they are easier to make a dumb stick with and crash. But this right here is your Swatch Plate. It has bearings in it. And it lets the whole main shaft rotate. And then these linkages move the bottom part of the Swatch Plate up and down, which causes these to move your flybar paddle. Most helicopters these days are not flybarred, they're flybarless. But on this one, it's got linkage for flybars. And then you've got your I call it kind of a grasshopper linkage, but it lets that go up and down, all while this is rotating and spinning at several hundred RPM, several thousand RPMs. So now, on a helicopter, if you had to fly it manually, it'd be hard to control as far as the tail. What we have on helis is a heading hold gyro. And some people even run these in airplanes to do 3D and stuff with. You can put one of these in there and it'll just almost hover itself. So a lot of these guys you see doing that, they're not doing it manually, they're doing it with gyros. So, but anyway, heading hold gyro, and you have to set it and and all the little settings on it, and get it just right. And then what it does, it holds your tail. Let's see if we can get those blades up here. It senses movement. So you probably can't see that, but the tail rotor blades are moving back and forth. If the wind catches it, that senses it and helps keep it straight. So it makes your heli fly in a straight line without you having to fight it all the time. So without that heading hold gyro, it would be really, really hard to control a helicopter. So think of a real helicopter. They don't have those people. They have to do it manually. Of course, the rudder, tail rotor blades on the rudder are controlled with foot pedals in a helicopter, and your cyclic is controlled with your main stick, and then you have a second stick in your left hand over to the side of your seat that has your throttle, kind of turns, kind of like a motorcycle throttle, and then it also raises up and down for your collective pitch. So you're operating a real helicopter with your feet and both hands at the same time. So it's kind of the same difference in an airplane. They're a little harder to fly than an airplane. So my brother flew planes and helicopters. But anyway, Alan, that's about, I don't know what else to tell you on this. I can't tell you how to program one in a radio. You guys can laugh at me. I'll give you a good laugh here. My channel name's Love to Fly Helis, and I love helicopters, and I can fly one blindfolded. I don't do 3D much. I don't really care much about that. I like to watch it. I just don't have any interest to try to do it myself. But I can fly one very well, but I still have a hard time programming one of these things in a radio. I just don't have it in me. I can't get through it all. So I usually take it over and let my buddy Norman do that for me. But so I can't tell you a whole lot about the programming other than there's mixes in there. You have different types of swatch plates, 90 degree, 120 degree, and that all has to be set up according to what type of heli and how it's set up with how many servos and stuff. So, but anyway, Alan, I hope that helps you out, and I hope you do get interested in helicopters. There's a lot of nice 450, 500 size. The smaller ones are a little more touchy, a little harder to fly than a big one. A big 50 size or 90 is real smooth. Not to say they're not hard to fly, but they're smoother, easier to see. But money-wise, if you know a good, like a 500, a T-Rex 500 would be a good one to start with. Even a 450, but a 500 would be. It's big enough you can see it good, and it's real stable. My friend Byron has one, and that thing it's just as stable as my Raptor 50 or my T-Rex 700. So they are more expensive than airplanes. I'll tell you that right now. It's going to cost you, to get into a 500 size, it's probably going to cost you $1,000 just for the helicopter, maybe more, for decent setup. Now, if you're just doing basic flight, you can get by a little cheaper, but you set it up for 3D with real strong servos and everything, you're looking at some money. My 700s, I have they're about $2,400 a piece, $25 with the setups I have in them for 3D. My Raptor 50s are about $1,400 in it, so you're looking at some money when you get into helis. But they are a blast, I'll give you that. All right, Alan, there you go. Hope that helped you out, my friend. And if I can answer any other questions, give me a holler. All right, man. See you guys on the tube. Thanks for watching.